You're welcome back to Afrosport now in focus. And of course, let's get talking about the CAF Champions League final. We know how it ended. Of course, Pyramids FC, the new winners of the CAF Champions League, as it were. Of course, 3-2 on aggregate. They were eventual champions. But then the first leg ended in a draw as well. And I would give you a match report of how it went down. Pyramids lifted their first ever Continental title after edging past South African club Mamelodi Sundowns 3-2 on aggregate. And both sides played out a 1-1 draw in the first leg in Pretoria, and Pyramids made home advantage count in the second leg as Fitson Mayele and Ahmed Sami scored in either half to extend the lead, while Ikram Reina scored the consolation for Sundowns. And the triumph made Pyramids the third Egyptian club to win the CAF Champions League after the country's two most successful sides, Al Ahly and Zamalek, who have a combined 17 titles. Let's quickly check out what, of course, the final looked like in the highlights. All right, of course, you could see the fans excited after the victory. And the fans raving. It's the first time they've seen their club win. Of course, for Egyptian clubs, they've had the merit of winning a lot of CAF Champions League. But this side in particular, established in 2014, Pyramids FC, they have seen their first CAF Champions League celebrated by the club. And I've got Tayo Ogunseye here in the studios to react. Of course, the victory is, of course, advantage for Pyramids, but as you could see there, the Mamelodi Sundowns fans were not so excited, were not so happy. But Tayo, great one for this club, Pyramids FC.
Definitely, they are the 27th club to win the CAF Champions League. Going into that final, you would expect that Sundowns, who have won it before, maybe they will be able to get a win. But playing out a 1-1 draw in South Africa actually put them in a very difficult position. And, you know, Pyramids, new club, they were actually established in 2008. For the fact that they play in Cairo, that is the hotbed of Egyptian football. You have Al Ahly there, you have Zamalek in that wonderful city. So they know what it means to win the title, and they're always in contention with the other two big clubs. So how do you rub shoulder with the big boys? Rather, what you need to do is to win that title, and they did that on Sunday, beating Sundowns by 2-1, 3-2 on aggregate. That put them amongst the elite clubs on the continent. And if you check how they've been able to do it, over time they've been consistent even on the local front. And in the CAF Confederation Cup, I could remember in 2020 during the lockdown, they were actually they got to the advanced stage. They met Enugu Rangers, Nigerian champions then. They met Enugu Rangers, one of the top clubs in Nigeria. They dispatched them, beating them by 3-0 in Cairo. So they've been consistent. They knew what they wanted, and the beautiful thing is that we are not having the Al Ahly or having the Zamalek or having the other big clubs on the scene. It's this, the new club, that shows that CAF is really making things happen at the elite, the biggest club football on the continent of Africa.
And I think that's what makes this remarkable, the fact that we're having a new team, a new side of the block. And you could see in the final, they imposed themselves as well. To get a point in South Africa was very important, and they did. They made sure that they didn't concede defeat, and then they went to their own patch in Egypt. You saw the final, and you saw how they played as well. Very dominant side. 2-1 it ended.
Definitely. You know, for any Egyptian side that plays on the continent, it's all about the bragging rights. Leave out the money. Of course, money does matter. But then the bragging rights and the motivation for them is that once they get to the final, they have to do it. South Africans, Mamelodi Sundowns experienced, but they're losing their spark. They're losing the spark that propelled them to win the championship as far back as in 2015. And I think what the Pyramids guys, the team actually did was that they have a foreign coach in Croatian, Kovic, who actually molded that team into what we are seeing today. And as I stated earlier, they have been consistent on the continent since they came on, because when you move with the right group, or where you are, the club was actually moved away from where it was into Cairo. That was 120 kilometers away from where it was actually situated, to stay in Cairo, so that it will be in the center of where the action is, and that counts for what we are seeing today. And for CAF, that's also an advantage. It shows that they are doing the right thing. They've increased the prize monies. They've liberalized most of the games. Games are online now. Online, people can watch and see for the benefits of fans, and new fans are also coming up on the continent to see how football is being played, rather than just hearing or reading about what happened.
Let's make an attempt in trying to explain the dominance of North African sides, particularly Egyptian sides. This is a new one, a newer one, and we're not seeing the likes of Zamalek and Al Ahly doing it, but Pyramids FC have done it again.
If you check what the Egyptian clubs have done, 5 of them now, they've won it. Ismaili did it in 1967, 68, 2009, then 2010, 2015. That was when their era seems to stop. Then Zamalek picked up from there. 84, 86, 93, 96. They met a Nigerian club, Shooting Stars, 2002, and their dominance, they kind of ran into a trouble, because the rivalry between Zamalek and Al Ahly is so intense. Even when I was in Cairo, you would see they share almost the same color, but their fans, they can identify one another. That, oh, you are for Zamalek, I'm for Al Ahly, despite the fact that they wear red, the dominant red in their colors. And Al Ahly now then came on in 1982. They were there in 1987. They won in 2021, 2001, 2005, 2006, 2008, 2012, 2013, 2020.
By far the most dominant side.
And they went on and on, winning it for 12 times. 12 times. That shows where, and they are they were voted the best club on the continent.
That's 4 in the last 5 years.
Yes, 4 in the last 5 years. And unfortunately, they were at the advanced stage of this particular edition, though they lost out. But that shows that the power of African football, the seat is still in the land of the pharaohs.
So, we look at winners from other countries as well. Tunisia, Nigeria, Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo as well. It'll be real there. But, Tayo, I think the main question is, how do the rest of Africa catch up with North Africa, particularly Egypt? For instance, Nigeria has only produced 1 winner on 2 occasions.
That was
exactly. So how can African teams begin to compete against North African sides, against the teams from Egypt?
In my earlier analysis, the power of African football is actually in the north, and now moving down south. To South Africa. Don't forget that TP Mazembe actually had that strength in pulling things. They won it back to back at some point in the history of this championship. What actually happens is that for any club to win this championship, there must be some level of independence. The financial muscle must be there. You must be able to have the best of hands and be able to acquire the best of players, even the best of coaches. Al Ahly, Zamalek just sacked former Super Eagles coach Jose Peseiro. That was Super Eagles national. That was Nigeria's former Nigerian national team coach, who got to the final of the 2024 AFCON. So if you have the war chest in terms of investment, in terms of resources to get the best and drag them on, and you also have your infrastructure to pull it through. Don't forget that for every club, you must have your board, who the chairman must report to, and also get feedback on how to run the clubs, and also include the fans. But what you have in some countries, let me come back home here to Nigeria. most clubs in Nigeria are owned by government,
Mm-hmm.
and by that kind of makes it so difficult to run the club transparently.
A lot of bureaucratic processes within.
Yes,
as well.
bureaucratic processes, selling of players, it's not so transparent. And if you want to acquire the best of hands, where will you get the money from? Will you go back to the government and ask for money? Government that has so many challenges or so many things to meet up with from the populace. So if clubs wants to develop, Enyimba won it far back in 2003, 2004, under the governor, under the strong influence of the former governor of that state, Ojuzo Kalu. So he was able to pull resources into that club then, and he got most of the best players across West Africa. And Muri Ogunbiyi, he came in from, got a Ghanaian, one of Ghanaian best midfielders, dragged them in, and they were able to deliver despite the challenges of playing at the top tier of the African football, the CAF Champions League.
Interesting. Now, we're still staying in Nigeria, Tayo. Remo Stars have just won the the domestic league here in Nigeria. Now, how far away? I mean, we know that they're not so close to the likes of the other teams in Egypt. Now, how far away do you think they are now? You know, you talked about the fact that most of these clubs are owned by the government, but that's not the case for them. It's privately owned, and you could see the level of investment that's been pulled into the club, and they're not going to stop there. I'd imagine they want to improve and even get better, rise and dominate maybe the CAF Confederation Cup, but they are in the next season's CAF Champions League. So how can they begin to, you know, achieve the aspiration of reaching the pinnacle of African football?
Yeah, apart from having the financial muscle to compete, you must be able to recruit and recruit well. You must be able to get quality players across all continents. You know, and once you have those those legs, experienced players to execute that, that shows that you are good to go. At least if you don't make your mark this season, you're getting somewhere.
Well then, of course, thank you very much, Tayo. We'll see if Remo Stars can, but it's been an exciting season, the CAF Champions League. Thank you very much for your thoughts and contributions here.
Thank you, Ayomide.
And that's indeed the much we can take here on Afrosport Now in Focus. For more news and information, you could check on our website, afrosportnow.com. Also, follow us on social media. The handle to follow on all platforms is at Afrosport TV. My name is Ayomide Shotubor. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye for now.